Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And VW have come under a lot of flack recently, especially for all that emissions scandal. But they're going through the courts, they're getting punished, all is well and good, because the pendulum is swinging back on the side of the angels. The old eco-nutters, in London we have Just Stop Oil that are sitting there in front of traffic. Then there's a couple of them up on a bridge that actually resulted in the death of a woman because an ambulance couldn't get through. So they have blood on their hands. So they're not just mad people now. They are now mad extremists who absolutely need to be forced into stopping what they're doing. And I mean use of proper force. No more dilly-dallying. However, in Germany, they've had their own share of this. They've had the German branch of the Eco-Loons have decided that they're going to break into a VW showroom in Wolfsburg, and they glued themselves to the floor, and that's fine, because what happened next is marvellous. The people who work there simply shut the doors, locked them in, turned the lights off and turned the heating off, and left them. And then they start crying like whiny little bitches. Let's look at this article at these sad, stupid wankers. Now, before we get into it, I might, make it clear that any kind of semblance of argument that may have persuaded people, any reasonableness to what these people are saying and demanding, has now been lost. Lost because, well, one, they're completely mental. Secondly, they've turned the public against them by making people late for work, for causing havoc, causing car accidents and things like that. But also for criminal damage when they're spraying orange paint on buildings or pouring hot soup onto priceless paintings. And I hope that anyone who damages is taken to court and is forced to pay the full value of that damage. But there should also be a class action by everyone who's inconvenienced by it, and all of them charge these people. And when they end up losing their homes, that'll be a fine and fitting punishment. But for one pair, the one who took the bridges, that resulted in a woman's death, they need to be prosecuted, if not for murder, for at least for manslaughter. That is how serious it is. But anyway, the German ones, they're pretty stupid, but then you would expect nothing less from these eco-tits. Eco-morons are arrested after gluing themselves to the floor of a German Volkswagen factory and then pleading for medical treatment because their hands were sore and they couldn't go to the toilet. So 9 demonstrators have complained about their treatment during a protest. They glued themselves to the floor of a Volkswagen dealership in Germany, so they've got no one to complain to except their own stupidity. Staff turned out the lights, switched off the heating and buggered off home. Good on ya. Activists have complained they weren't given a bowl to urinate or defecate in. Did you not think to bring a bowl? It sounds like you're almost completely stupid. Oh wait, but there's more. Anyway, eco-demonstrators who glued themselves to the floor of a VW factory then moaned their hands hurt and that they could not go to the toilet have been arrested. I hope they've been given a broom and a bucket and mop first, because presumably there'll be a lot of it all over the floor and they'll need to clean that up. 9 activists from the Scientist Rebellion group, they call themselves scientists, and they didn't think to bring a bowl. Fuck me. Anyway, broke into Autostadt, a museum and car showroom opposite VW's main factory in Wolfsburg, late on Wednesday, and they glued themselves to the floor of the Porsche pavilion. They vowed to continue their protest until VW agreed to lobby ministers to decarbonise the transport industry. You know that you can't do that. You know what you're asking for is impossible. It's not just, politically difficult or economically difficult. It's actually physically impossible because carbon makes up everything. You, for a start. Horses. Horse shit. And you're full of that. So even if you got every car off the road and only used horses, there's still a lot of carbon going into the air, lads. So you are completely mental. Anyway, they began complaining just after a few hours that they had no food. And staff had refused to bring them a bowl to defecate in. Not the staff's job, is it? You're there out of choice. Did you not think to bring food? You are morons. And mad. I mean, this is great. It's getting better, though, isn't it? Gianluca Grimaldi, who had declared he was on hunger strike, good on you, mate. What are you complaining about food for? Then began complaining his hand, which he'd covered in super glue and stuck to the floor, was swollen, and said medics warned him he was at risk of blood clots. Well, he is a bloody clot, isn't he? Boom, boom. See what I did there? Well, hang on. At what point are we all supposed to have sympathy for these morons? They've done this to themselves, and then go, hey, we've turned up and glued our hands to the floor, but we didn't bring a bolt of shit in, and we didn't bring any food, and now my hand hurts. Are we dealing with 4-year-olds? I mean, seriously, they call themselves scientists. I tell you, it just goes to show the state of education if that's what a scientist does. Anyway, after just a day of protest, he agreed to leave for medical treatment and was arrested before riot police moved in to round up the rest of the demonstrators. Unfortunately, the riot police didn't actually use all the weapons they'd turned up with. And there he is. There's Gianluca, right? He'd vowed to remain until Volkswagen agreed to lobby for it really lasted 24 hours. You know that I'm, like Liz Truss said, I'm a fighter, not a quitter. She quit the next day. He said he's going to stay until they change their mind. He left. Why? Because he's a moron and he didn't bring a shit bowl and he didn't bring any food. And then he says, I'm going on hunger strike. Well, then why are you complaining about food? And here they are. Here's these brave, intelligent beings supergluing themselves to the floor. They're fucking morons. They really are. I mean, you just sometimes I actually worry about the future of humanity, because you got to think how stupid the average person is and realise that half the world are more stupid than that. And then there's that lot who aren't even bottom left hand side of the bell curve here, you know. Agilos Kaloris, another demonstrator, tweeted an image of dozens of riot officers inside the museum with the message, they're arresting everybody. That's their job. The activists are members of the Scientist Rebellion, a group promoting itself as a collection of scientists willing to tell the truth about the climate crisis and act on it. Well, if they are they're scientists now. They're scientists. Seriously. Whoever they work for needs to fire them. Not because they've done anything wrong, not because they've brought it into shame or anything like that, but simply because no employer should employ anyone so stupid that they go and do something like that and don't bring food, water and a bucket to shit in. Anyway, they're urging Volkswagen, one of Germany's largest car makers, to step up the fight against pollution. Pictures of the protest were shared online and showed 6 activists glued to the ground in front of 3 Porsches. They glued themselves with super glue, with glue. Where do you think glue comes from? It's a product. It's an oil product. Well done, lads. You're complete fucktards, aren't you? Anyway, pictures of the protest were shared online and showed 6 activists glued to the ground in front of 3 Porsches. Oh, if only those Porsches somehow got switched on and the first gear was engaged and there was no one sitting in them. That would be terrible. They'd also glued mocked-up newspaper front pages reporting on global warming to vehicles inside the showroom. Criminal damage. Make them buy those cars. Take them to the courts. Let them sell their houses to pay for the damage. As the protest got underway, Mr. Grimaldi tweeted, together with 15 other members of the Scientist Rebellion, I have occupied the Porsche Pavilion at Autostat. No, you haven't. You've made a minor inconvenience that nobody cared about, and then you shit yourselves. Anyway, 9 of us glued to the floor and some of us on hunger strike until our demands to decarbonise German transport sector are met. You're going to die of starvation then, because it can't be done. Even railways. What do you think railways run on? What do you think they're made of? Steel needs carbon. What do you think they run on? Energy. What does Germany use for energy? Gas. What does that produce? Oh, your entire argument is complete and utter bollocks, isn't it? Anyway, just 2 hours later, he began complaining that museum staff had refused our request to provide us with a bowl to urinate and defecate in a decent manner while we were all glued, and have turned off the heating. So let's see, you're cold, you're tired, you're hungry, you're thirsty, and your pants are full of shit. And you want us to take you seriously because you're scientists. It is unbelievable. People in support can get out of the building, but then they couldn't get back in because the police aren't letting them in. We can't order our food. We must use the one provided by Volkswagen. Lights off, random unannounced security checks by security guards with bright torches. Police just came in. What the hell do you expect? I'm surprised. Actually, the VW missed a trick. What they should have done is got a video of, say, Barney, you know, I'm Barney, ho ho ho, and put that on an endless playing loop. Oh, although that would have been cruel and unusual punishment, maybe. But that's the sort of thing I'd have done. It would have driven them bonkers. Anyway, after a night sleeping on the floor, Mr. Grimolda tweeted an image of his swollen hand, saying a doctor had been brought in to examine him. But surely he's clever enough to know this would happen. He is a scientist, after all. He said, doctors ascertained the possibility of life-threatening blood clots in my hand and recommended an immediate transfer to hospital. Ah, bless. Will nursey make it better? You said. And look, here they are. Here they are. Look. They sit around. Think of the 60s. Think of a bunch of hippies in the 60s sitting there talking about the meaning of life and how great it is and smoking dope and how cool we are. Oh, you are just an absolute bunch of fucking clowns. I'm not even going to finish reading it. We all know how stupid they are. These Eco-Loons. Oh, look, we did a video on him the other day. Real alpha male him. I'm going to London. I'm going to London tomorrow. I hope I get a chance to meet some of them. I'm going to be wonderfully impressed with them. So if I do, and a heads up here, if I do, I will video my meeting with these Eco-Loons and we'll show them up for the complete and utter retards that they are. Anyway, I'm done here. We'll round up. I'll come up, finish the video, and I'm out. As a society, we need to stop looking at these people as misguided, virtuous do-gooders who are trying to save the planet. They're not. They're petulant little children stamping their feet because mummy wouldn't let them have a lollipop. But worse than that, they're actually causing not just inconvenience, but economic loss, criminal damage, and now people are losing their lives. They are not, they're not to be tolerated, but they're not innocent. They are getting to the point where they're becoming extremists, and we must deal with them with force, with severe force, and make sure that whatever damage is caused, they pay for. And when they're losing their homes, they may think twice before embarking on this childish little tirade of self-indulgent wankery. Anyway, the Brown Trousers Brigade in Germany will have learnt a valuable lesson. Don't go doing stupid things when you're a stupid person. There will be a price to pay. And I hope that VW charge them for the cleaning costs of that floor. Anyway, I shall round off here. Thanks for watching. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notification of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and until next time, stay safe, stay well. If you're going to go anywhere, make sure there's a toilet, and goodbye.